weeks.
Cool. And what were you doing before this?
Oh man, I'm Mr. Sales, bro, or I was Mr. Sales. So prior to that, I was in the military. So I did 8 years in the Navy. And even when I was in the military, I was doing, the sales stuff and, had my own business, the whole nine. But once I got out the military, I got into sales on a corporate level. I actually got my first sales job out the military at a university I went to school at. And there was supposed to be an enrollment counselor, and that it wasn't an enrollment counselor, but really it was like cold calling for people that wanted to go to school, selling education. And then, I left from there and went to Google, or it was actually a company that was getting acquired by Google called WebPass, and they do high-speed internet, so fiber, and it's a pretty cool technology because it's not regular fiber. It's actually point-to-point radio. So they were shooting these signals wirelessly and giving people 1,000 megabits per second. It was crazy. So I went there and rocked out. We got acquired by Google, and then after that I went back to school. I got a master's degree in marketing because I thought I still wanted to be in sales. Then I got picked up by this tech company called Logically. Okay. And they're an MSP. And when I was there, that's when I kind of went full-fledged into wanting to get out of sales and actually move into more of the tech side, because we had some dudes there that was engineers, man. We had this one cat that was a pen tester he was beastie. He was, to be honest with you, his whole office was tight. It was the colors, he had built his own computer and looked like a techno club in there. And he was rocking out. And I was in a suit meeting with clients all day, man. I was like, I need his life. So I started talking to one of my boys, one of the engineers that I worked with, and he had pushed some buttons. He was automating scripts. I had never seen that before. And he had pushed some buttons on his laptop, and then all of a sudden the dude in the cubicle across from him, the monitor went black. And then something else happened on the screen, and I was like, how'd you do that, man? He was like, oh, we mess with each other all day, and let me show you real quick. And then that was my last time in sales, man. After that, I went to school for CyberSecurity. I actually finished my capstone last month, to be actually with you. But yeah, man, that's what I was doing before here. I was super sales.
Dope, man. So what did your capstone consist of? Because I know mine, we had a capstone. It was a system analysis and design. That's what my capstone was in undergrad. And we had to pick something that was a real world issue, like around the university or something else that we could actually kind of implement. And we just did something simple. We did a inventory system for, I think we had a bowling alley in our, what's the thing called that people go to when you hoop and you play pool, and I cannot think of that name for nothing, man. It's gonna come to me.
Like a rec hall?
It's like a rec, but they call it something when you're in college. They actually got another name for the rec. I forget what it's called, but oh well. We'll just rock with the rec. But so we end up doing that where you just have to kind of design it on Visio and program it and go talk to the people. So that's kind of what we did. It wasn't really anything security related back then, but I'm pretty sure you guys had a project that had to be more, security focused.
Yeah, man, my project was fire, to be honest with you, man. Like I told you before, I got turned on to cyber by the pen testing part of it and messing with stuff. So the way my cohort worked, we all moved through the program at the same time, but it was me and two other people that really stuck with each other in terms of a group, because we liked how each other flow. It was one young lady, my homegirl Martha. She's already in IT and she deals with policy, so she likes to write. Me, I was all about figuring stuff out and breaking into systems. If we could do it, let's get it in. And we had another guy named Mark, and he was fresh out the Marines, and he kind of on the same plane as me, like, hey, let's figure this stuff out and let's get to it. So for our capstone, his brother worked for a solar company. And what we did was we purchased a solar communication device. What it does is it communicates with the solar panels and your inverters, but it's connected through your router. So that way, say you have some solar panels on your roof and you want to see the status of it, how much energy you done saved or X, Y, and Z, they give you a full dashboard, but it's all connected through this device. You can control the solar panels. And we wanted to see if we could break into the device and then, or through the router or however we might be able to do it, and then use that to pivot into other devices connected to the network. Really cool. We had one of my old professors and one of my mentors help us out with portions of the project, but we did everything from soldering ports onto the actual hardware. We broke the case open. We looked at every piece of equipment inside of that device, and then found out if there was vulnerabilities for it, if there was some way for us to hack the stuff. We soldered a port into it where we could put a thumb drive, and we extracted the information directly from the device. Then we ran all kind of like Nmap scans and just wireless attacks on the device to actually, you know, capture the handshake and then, you know, try to break into the device and gain especially the you know, command and control of it. But that was a cool project, man. That was really cool. And other people in our cohort, they were doing simple stuff. Like I had a few people do Hack the Box, or, you know, just general linking up with a company, or trying to, because we did all this during COVID, you know, and trying to do pen tests. But we actually broke into the device, and the whole point of it was not only to you know, for our grade, but we felt like since it was a device that people were actually using, like when we gave our presentation, 2 of the faculty actually said that they had this device at their house. So this was our way of contributing to, you know, to the IT community as students. But yeah, that was our program, man. I got the whole presentation. Obviously, we're not gonna run into that, but it was a really dope experience, man. Just all the different tools we got to use, seeing how you can actually, you know, attack something physically, and it's not as easy as they show it on YouTube. You know, I think on YouTube, a lot of times you get the easy bake oven version. You get somebody say, look, we're going to do this, you know, 10 seconds later, it's accomplished. But in real life, man, it's a whole lot of bumping your head and scratching and figuring out, man, what we do wrong, and what else can we do to make this work the way that we need to. So it was definitely a fun project.
Yeah, man. That's what's up, that y'all pretty much did something practical that you could also tie into, like when you're interviewing, or say it on LinkedIn and other things of that nature, to where you could pretty much pitch that. Because I know one of the issues that does happen to the people that don't have a lot of experience or whatever is, you know, they haven't really worked on anything or did anything. But the way that you just went into detail about that, and I'm pretty sure in interviews or something, you went even more in detail, you know, about maybe the type of Nmap scans that y'all ran, or the type of wireless attacks y'all did on the machine, which would be something, you know, I'll say, we'll just use it right here. I mean, the word good is subjective, but normally good managers, good directors or whatever would be impressed by that, and they like that because that's a passion. You know, like you said, you saw people just doing regular things, which is cool, because I mean, it's still knowledge-based, but it's, you know, I was listening to, shout out to, I think I pronounce it, Dewan Lightfoot. I think that's how I pronounce his name. Lab Every Day on, he got a YouTube channel, and he's on LinkedIn, Twitter, check him out. And he had DJX Alpha and 2 other guys on there, but I shared his live stream that he did a couple of weekends ago with Digital Empress. And a lot of those guys are in the offensive part and red team part of cybersecurity. And they were telling people, like, yeah, just because you pass OSCP, Pentest Plus, EJPT, and it was some other certs they just brought up. It's like, you know, that's fine, but you're going to realize once you get in the real world, it's not that cut and dry. And you saw that firsthand. Yeah. And I think that's what some people don't understand, is the fact that YouTube is condensed. Like even me, for example, I did a lab that I recorded that's on my channel now. It was just doing like instant response, but that was an hour. It's normally, first of all, it's not going to take an hour. Just the other day at work, looking at my environment for different things, I was trying to see if we had any traces of like that DearCry ransomware, or in our environment. You know, those searches were taking a while, you know. So I mean, and that was a lot of time. I'm figuring out what logs, what type of, like, we got like how the logs come in with different like type of Palo Alto logs that I have to key in to see which ones actually key in for threats and traffic, you know, and that in itself takes a minute. But let's go into, so you said you were in sales. How did you go about getting the position you have now? Like, did you interview a lot, or how did you go about doing that?
Bro, so this is a story, man. Like the short version, the condensed, you know, we're gonna YouTube this is.
No, go ahead and give us the meat and potatoes, man. We gotta, you know, because people gotta hear this so they kind of hear what you're going through.
Let's rock, because man, this is gonna be the realest conversation. Like, anybody that know me know I keep it honest. And y'all, like my man said, if y'all get inserts and y'all get in these pieces of paper to stick on the wall and feel good and get an attaboy, that's cool. But you gotta really push. You gotta be more than just a certificate, and you gotta really know what you're doing, and you gotta put those hours in. I was watching something the other day where it says where energy goes, money flows, and that's 100%. So my process was, the first thing was realizing that I had a passion for this, that it wasn't something like, you know, I'm just gonna do it because to get the bag, or I'm gonna just do it, you know, in the meantime. Like, I'm really interested in this stuff. You know, I'm listening to podcasts about cybersecurity. Obviously, you know, me being on YouTube, constantly getting new updates and information about different tools that I can use and things that I can practice on. Even following somebody like yourself, you know, that's how I came in contact with you. And, you know, thanks for even having this interview. But outside of that, it was, you know, putting those hours in school, and then finding out what else I could do to not only contribute to the community, but to get noticed. And that did come about with me, you know, doing a whole lot of certifications. I started off with my Security Plus. And to be honest with you, I think I overstudied for that. You know, it took me like 3 months when it could have been done in a month. But, you know, making sure that I understood the information was more important than me getting that piece of paper. And I coupled that with my schoolwork. And then I had I still do have a Try Hack Me account, a Hack the Box account, you know, and then outside of that, networking with the people that's in the community, like reaching out, like I talked to you, you know, reaching out to my teachers, seeing and letting anybody and everybody know in my cohort, in my class, like, hey, look, Antoine is active, not only in this class, but I'm a push. I'm trying to push and get into this other industry. You know, that's why I'm here with y'all right now. And I'm gonna do any and everything I can to make it happen. So once I got my Security Plus, I decided, hey, well, I kind of felt discouraged, to be honest with you. And, you know, that's to keep it a buck. My guy, Mark, the one that's usually in my group, he had his Security Plus and he got it probably like in a month. And I would say 2 or 3 weeks later, he got his first role in IT, and it was a help desk position. And he didn't have any IT background. And I was like, man, you know, I'm behind the curve, bro. I need to pick this up. So at the time, I wasn't working. I was just going to school. So I put the rest of my time in these other certifications. So I went and got my Pen Test Plus. Once I got my Pen Test Plus, I figured, hey, well, that's 2 certs under my belt. You know, I'm halfway through with this program. And I started just applying to jobs. My instructor told me that, you know, typically the role, especially for somebody that's not, you know, doesn't have an IT background, what they should do is go help desk. So I started I put together a resume. I'm a veteran. So I had Hiring Heroes, I believe that's the name of it. They're a service that works for veterans to put the resume together and walk you through the whole process. And they put together something nice for me. It was good that I got to throw my certifications on there. And literally, I went to every job board I can think of. I went to LinkedIn, I went to Monster, I went to Indeed, Dice, Craigslist, man, any and everywhere where I can put this thing up. You would think that I was trying to go viral. I was out there. And then in the meantime, reading through these the job recs, because for me, the biggest thing, and I guess this is the term that people are using now, it's that unicorn. They're looking for a unicorn. You know, like I had the certifications. A lot of them said, hey, we need Security Plus as a baseline, and they might have had 2 or 3 other certifications on top of that, which are attainable. But the one thing you can't get is that, hey, I need 7 years experience with this. I need 5 years experience. especially with somebody like me, you know, coming from a sales background, that was like this, that was the discouraging part, especially seeing how hard that I was working to get noticed and to let people know, hey man, I'm valuable. I got a good skill set right now. That turned me into, honestly, going back to sales is what probably helped me, was me making sure I was vocal on LinkedIn and letting other people know that what I was doing. I had listened to a podcast and somebody said, yo, this is 2021. There's no reason why you shouldn't have 1,000 new connections in whatever industry you decide to be moving into, or the industry that you're currently involved in. And for me with that, man, was going on and getting really involved in the community. And that's not just going on LinkedIn and adding 50 people a day. That's, you know, following people's posts, you know, commenting on stuff and giving my own insights to, and it worked, because to kind of speed up a little bit, the interview for the job that I'm at right now, for the security analyst job, I was in the middle of the interview and it was going great, you know, kind of like how we talking right now. It was real casual, going back and forth. And the guy brought up, so Antoine, I had looked on your LinkedIn and I noticed in your comments that you replied to somebody's post. You gave them a congratulations for them passing their pen test plus, but you also said that was a fun exam. I hope you enjoyed it. And I never heard anybody say that before. But I tell you guys this, or I'm telling you this in specifics, is because you don't never know who's looking out. You don't never know who's watching you, but putting yourself out there is a great way to do it. Yeah, and even when I was at my last job, every week I would go on LinkedIn and post, you know, these are the current cybersecurity trends, and this is things that you need to look out for your business, because I was selling IT equipment at that time. But yeah, man, really knocking these certifications out and applying to any and everything. And it was crazy because I had a lot of interviews, but it was for people that wanted to bring me on to sell SaaS equipment, man. I had a few, out of all the help desk jobs I applied for, I had 2 people get back to me. And one of them, I thought I was really going to get. Somebody had, and this is after putting out like 20, 30, you know, applications. That's something else I want to let the people know. Like, it's not a one and done. It's a grind, like 100%. But the people that interviewed me, the HR person, she was great. Then they got online with me and started talking technical terms, you know, about how to set up printers. And not to put myself out there, but to be honest with you, I didn't know that stuff. I was like, I know how to break into this network because that's what I was studying at school. I was like, I don't know how to set up simple stuff like a computer. And, you know, I just don't know. So I didn't get the job. Funny thing is, those same people hit me back a month later when they had a sales role open up at the tech company. But, you know, once again, I put my head back down and kept grinding. I ended up getting my AWS. I had a teacher first, the Pen Test Plus and the Security Plus. One of my professors and role models is a guy named, our mentor is a guy named John Helmus, and he's like a professional red teamer. He's pretty big on this in pen testing in that community, and he was the one that kind of urged me to go that way. Then I had another mentor, and he's a cloud guy. He works for a big company, and what he does is he gets contracts with companies, and he goes out with them and helps them migrate their on-premises network into the cloud. So he said, yeah, I can send you out to a pen test, but what if it's nothing on premises? You need to learn the cloud, learn AWS. So I went and got my cloud practitioner cert, and then I got my solutions architect certification. And then I did the whole process again, man. I went back and sent out 1,000 resumes, applied to everything. And it was cool because people, remember I told you I wanted to add that 1,000, you know, or get as close as I can to that 1,000 contacts on LinkedIn and letting people know that I'm out here. Well, people started replying back. You know, people was following me. I would get a lot of messages in my inbox. Hey, congratulations. I see what you're doing. And it was good because this wasn't just salespeople. These are people that had, you know, ranking positions inside of IT companies. Then what ended up happening was, man, I got towards the end of this program, like towards my capstone, and I started like panicking. I'm like, all right, well, I got to do something. So just as a plan B, and I feel kind of bad about doing it, but I had a plan B, and I just started applying to sales jobs. Started applying to sales jobs that were in SaaS. You know, at least it was going to be something that I can say, well, it's at least still related to technology. And, you know, my goal is I can get in, I can kill the sales. I know I can do that. And hopefully I can transition into an IT role, but I didn't need to. all this grinding that I was doing, the company I work for right now, the guy reached out to me I don't even know where he got my resume from. I didn't apply to the job at all. One day I had somebody get in contact with me on LinkedIn. It was the hiring manager, and he sent me an email. He's like, hey, I seen your credentials. I'd love to have a short chat with you. Let me know if you got some time. And then I went to my LinkedIn because, right now that's my social media platform. And he also sent me a message and he said, hey, do you know this guy? He's in your connections. And that's my cousin. That's crazy if you know him. Well, this dude he was talking about was one of my guys at my first sales role out of the military. And me and him, he kind of mentored me into the role. And, we did really good together. So I was like, oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, I know him. This is our background. Then I looked at his LinkedIn page and realized, oh man, he was in the military. And oh man, he also wasn't a IT when he was in the military. I thought he was a chief, a ITC. And he said, no, I did medical. And to be honest with you, I spent the majority of my time with the Marines. So just being able to network with him on that level, I think was something that really helped me get this role that I'm in. By the graces of whatever, he was able to find me. And I didn't have to apply for the position because I was still actively putting out applications. I became a professional interviewer. Like I could speak very well. And I learned how to pick up on key terms and see what was going, if the interview was going well, if it wasn't, and if it wasn't, or even if it was, I still learned something and was able to apply that to the next interview. But with this particular role, it was cool. Like I had asked him about his background. He asked me about mine. He already seen my certifications. He had obviously did his due diligence because this was the same guy who told me he went inside of my comments and saw the congratulations I left to the gentleman that had passed his Pen Test Plus. And everything went well. It was funny because I had accepted a role at another place for sales just to have something in the meantime. And I actually did half the interview with him on LinkedIn while I was on shift at my other job. So that in itself was kind of funny. Then during my break, I did the rest of the interview. We ended up scheduling for a second interview. And this is where I want y'all to really listen. So our interview went so well that we scheduled the second interview for about 2 days out. I needed to meet with the lead analyst and he told me, hey, well, this is going to be more of a technical interview and, make sure you know your commands. And he kind of gave me the heads up. Like, I like you a lot. So just make sure that you come correct and you know what you're talking about. Well, 2 days later, I looked on my calendar and it was canceled. So I sent him a LinkedIn message and I was like, hey, well, I noticed our interview was canceled. Did you plan on rescheduling it? And 5 minutes later, the person from HR gave me a call and said he would like to extend an offer to you. So, and this is while I'm at the other job. So that's pretty much my story, is grinding and honestly selling myself, going above and beyond, actually knowing this stuff. Like you got to be able to demonstrate it and you got to be able to speak towards it if somebody asks you a question. Because if you just got a piece of paper, once again, if you got the piece of paper and you don't know anything about what you actually studied, it's like the person in class that reads that paragraph. And then when a teacher asks them at the end, so what'd you just read about? And if you don't have nothing to say, well, you just lost out on the opportunity. My bad, bro. That's long. That's long.
Bro, no. I was rocking with everything you were saying because you literally conveyed, what I say on my LinkedIn posts, what I say on my YouTube videos, what I tell people on Twitter. I don't know if you're on Twitter, but Twitter's gotten like really good for me as well. I'm that guy that's making the shocking tweets now about the industry, but you literally said, everything that I would tell my clients to do. Because it's funny, I actually just met with a guy who's has a background actually in sales in the steel industry. So I actually, after this, I'm gonna connect you with him. Maybe you can give him some more pointers, especially come from that sales background. But anyways, yeah, man, and I'm glad you were very transparent about, your process, because we've all been there. Like, for me, my blog that I just put out on my website, I was talking about how, look, I had my Sec Plus and my first job was help desk, and I did that for like 2 years. And It was more so because I didn't do what you did. I didn't do that. You know, the only thing I did was, I'm gonna say it was just luck. I just looked up and went to career fair for Intel. What was that, 5 years ago? Yeah, about 5 years ago. I just looked up and I left a work function to go there. That's like, that's how bad I wanted it. I was like,
I remember that. I remember watching your video on this. Talk about it though. Talk about it. I just thought about it. I got you.
yeah, I mean, I think I was looking, I don't know if I applied to a job, because you can sign up for their talent acquisition newsletters, and then either one of the HR people emailed me, and I just started asking about what roles they had, and shoot, I just got my resume out and went and talked to one of the guys, and that's pretty much how it went. They were setting up their own internal SOC, and that's how it worked, just being in the right place at the right time. And that's really sometimes all it is. Like I said, then I don't know if you saw the other video, I got like 100 jobs told me no. Like I still got that spreadsheet.
Dude, you a beast with that. I saw that spreadsheet. That kind of reminded me of Michael Jordan. Like, he remember everybody. Like, but I love the organization. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's one of the things that I learned when I was laid off. What they helped me with was like how to track my job search. And so every time I do a consultation now with people, I give them a blank sheet like that to where they could track it, where I ask them if they get an offer, things of that nature, because it actually helps you remember what you applied to. Because it's funny how you said just putting your resume everywhere. That was me in 2013, 2014. And sometimes I forgot I even applied to positions. They would call me, hey, we calling you about this. I'm like, what position? Yeah, I was like, oh, I used to forget. And I'm happy that you were able to go the route like that you did, because you had too much skill to be sitting dormant on help desk. I one of the people too. Sometimes I'll tell people to do help desk. Sometimes if it's just for them, like if they don't know what they want to do and they just want to get some experience and figure out, I'll say, well, I would say do entry level help desk and then figure out what path you want to go. And you'll begin some IT experience while I'll figure it out. But if you already know, you just got to work harder of somebody giving you a chance, and you put yourself out there. You were talking to people, and that's why I tell people, I said, listen, LinkedIn's algorithm works like off of visibility. It's like a lot of people that's connected. They see stuff, and everybody see, like with me, like since I started this channel about in July and I really started branding myself, like so many people look at my LinkedIn and I'm like, man, I think it really helped me with interviews, because I mean I'm gonna upload this, I don't care, but I've been interviewing too while I've been at work. And it's some crazy stuff, man. I tell people when it comes to InfoSec, it's a small world. I forgot what tweet or something I did, but I was telling people about, like, don't kind of cheat your way through it, just be transparent about your skills. But if you can sell your passion, they can work with you, because if you lie, it puts a bad taste in their mouth. They might be friends with another CISO and say, nah, I remember them at my company, they weren't that good, they lied on their resume, and you could get blacklisted like that, and that's not something you want to happen. I get why, it's a travesty. They're gonna have to revamp that DC DMV area, because that's what's going on up there, and it's only because they are looking for unicorns. I don't, for the life of me, I'm in a group on Facebook, like a Black IT group, and these government jobs are telling people they want them to have Sec Plus, and I'm like, why? They're not going to use Sec Plus. Literally, with help desk, you can train a person in 1 or 2 weeks and they'll be fine. They don't need that stuff. And you got these people getting Sec Plus and CEH and just to do help desk, and that's a lot of money to waste just to do something that's regular for just talking to people.
Like, yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think that's why. First, I think you should have some integrity. Like, no matter if you're doing an interview or you're doing just regular life stuff, you could be chatting to somebody. Like, you should always be honest. So when you say a line on your resume, don't do it. It's a horrible idea. I would say don't lie in general. Be an honest and transparent person. Like earlier, you said people, you can get the job off of the passion. Like I told, and this is like 100%, like for the last year and a half, like, man, my life has been nothing but I do training. So it's either physical training or mental training. So if I'm not working out, if I'm not hiking, dude, and if I'm not with my family, I'm doing some kind of IT stuff. I'm practicing labs. I'm doing something related to IT. So, just the passion that I had, and I told him, I said, look, man, I work whatever hours you want. And a lot of this could be probably because I'm prior military, and my whole thing is like, just get the mission done by any means necessary. But I was like, look, to be honest with you, you're doing me a solid. I was like, with all the hours that I spent, in school studying, offline studying, all the money I spent on these certifications, not to count my education, I would love to get paid for all this stuff I've been paying for. Like, I would love that. So just the desire that I had to, and my hunger, even right now, like I've been studying the tools that we have at our job, like offline, just so I can make sure that I'm not better than the other person, but I want to level up. I want to really know this stuff and understand it. But yeah, man. But outside of that too, I think you also spoke on the unicorn. Like it's people like you that I think deserve all those LinkedIn views and deserve the subscriptions to your page, because it got to be somebody that look like us. You need that representation, but you also need somebody to be honest with you and let you know, like, man, instead of spending all your money on this, you might want to go this route, because that's what my mentors did for me. Like before I got this job, I was really thinking like, probably because I'm not an IT person. Well, I wasn't. So I was like, probably I did something wrong. Let me go back and get my A+. Let me go back and get my network plus. Matter of fact, I was about probably 2 days away from signing back up to go back to school to get a bachelor's. I got 2 master's degrees. I was gonna go back to school to get a bachelor's degree in computer science, just so I can have a clearer route, because that's what I thought that I needed to get into this space. So yeah, man, it's just crazy the amount of weight that you can put on yourself, or you could think that's out there. But like my man been saying this whole conversation, it just talk to people, be transparent, and know the skills and put in the work. Like, don't think it's gonna come to you. It kind of came to me, but that was the return on investment, I think, to be honest with you. I think it's cool how you said, hey man, look, I went to a career fair and got into it. Like, that's cool. I wish I could have did that, man.
But bro, man, it's so many stories before that of just getting ghosted, of like I put in why I knew I had to leave my company that I was with, because they kept on holding me back intentionally, like finding out that they wanted me to be on the SOC at that company, and my manager just wouldn't let me go, and then even come to me and say, well, we're gonna take care of you, since we don't want you to go, no type of formalities or anything like that. So I was pretty much upset with that. But I was thinking about something else when you were talking, and I believe it was about representation. Okay, so I made a tweet yesterday. I had an interview with the manager, and she was a Black woman. So I had tweeted on Twitter, interview went well, and my interviewer was a Black woman. And some lame, replied to it, something, it could just be a good interview. It don't have to be about race. And I'm like, first of all, if you know the landscape of this industry, it's not that many Black people, let alone Black women. That's why I tweeted that, because, somebody out there needed to see, oh, they got Black managers that are women out here. Like, that was my first time. I can't tell you, me and I forgot who else was talking about this, but what I did used to get discouraged about 3 years ago when I wasn't working was the fact that every time I interviewed in person, nobody looked like me, or the ghosting, or talking to people that didn't, look and sound like me, like feeding me, BS or stuff like that. So people really don't understand until it's reverse. And it's like, yeah, I don't feel comfortable. I feel like, I've told someone, I don't know, it's on one of these podcasts, but I said I low-key feel like somewhere in cyber, they do stuff kind of like the Rooney Rule, to where they just interview just to interview. They really don't have any intentions of getting or picking you up.
Yeah, I heard that interview. I think you were talking to Sherry.
Yeah.
I think that might. Yeah, and her story was cool too. Especially, I just picked up on it because you said, the person that interviewed you was a Black woman, and it sounded like for her, that was the person that interviewed her. I think her brother ran, is a Black woman, and that by itself is awesome. To see how that helped her in her career. I'm pretty sure just seeing somebody like that in that role, gave her the motivation to go harder. Just like that. Even though it's a Black woman in your situation, have you thinking like, man, I'm gonna go and rock out too. Like, it's weird when you get in those positions, and I think that people that aren't, the minority, they don't understand it all the time. It's not like we trying to make an issue out of it, but it's important to let people know, hey, we here, and to be that voice. There's other options to where, you could do for work, or just even if it's something for a hobby, like we out here and, we got your back.
Oh, definitely, man. And like for me, and it is not me, trying to incriminate my people, but let's use layman terms, right? Some of our people in our community, they're thieves. They break into things or something like that. But what it would take for somebody that got introduced to red team at a younger age and take that same mindset and, do it on the network? Because it's not the same thing, but it is the same type of thought process with your reconnaissance, figuring out how you're going to do this, what time this, physical access, what time did this dude go for a shift? Like, prime example, I worked at Target years ago, and we was getting hit up for TVs. And what we found out was every time they was doing the change of when they would come into electronics, they would get the TVs and go out the back door, and the fire alarm had a delay on it. That's similar to someone doing something on the network, because they did their, their due diligence. But how they play themselves, like most criminals do, is they always come back instead of just hitting the lick and going.
Yeah, that's funny. I tried to break this down to somebody. It's funny because sometimes when you talk to people that's not in tech or not interested, it's kind of hard for them to wrap their brain around the concept. And I had to tell this person, it's almost like I'm an ethical criminal. Like I'm gonna case the joint, and I'm gonna figure out, what's the best method to get in here. That's your reconnaissance, that's your enumeration. And then I'm gonna exploit it. I'm gonna find the vulnerability. Is the window open? I'm gonna get inside. But on the flip side, I'm going to actually, show you how to protect it. It's the same thing as the streets. And I think that's why technology is so cool, especially cyber, is because what I see in the future is everything that we have physical, like even this table that I'm sitting at, this desk, everything is just in the cloud. All they're doing is creating digital forms of this world. And right now, if you can relate to what you do in real life to what you want to do in cyber, it's essentially the same exact thing.
Hey, that's big facts. And that's one of the things that I tell people. Like, I always tell people, I'm not super technical. Like, I know what I'm doing at my job, but I'm not going to jargon you to death. And I think I've been, granted the ability to just talk to people in layman's terms that, especially if I go up to talk to somebody C-Lec or C-level. Or something as simple as, like, if I had my own business and I had to tell a small business, why they needed, cybersecurity, I would bring up something small as like bringing up their house. Actually, do they have cameras there? And you can say yes or no. Do they have a fence? Like, it literally just physical things. Mm-hmm. It's like letting these things help prevent people from breaking in your house. That's all this is. It's the same thing, because most people think, well, you got to say, I would say something like this, like, do you think people would, come in your house if you didn't ever lock the door or something like that? And people might say no or yes. Well, it's like kind of the same thing. Like, I know you think you're a small fish, but anybody can get it on a network. And that's the way that, you gotta kind of approach that with, if it came to something like that. But that's probably 5 to 10 years off of when I want to do like some consulting stuff. Like, I'm making friends now to where we could be the people selling the services and doing the same thing that everybody else is doing.
Man, you definitely on point with that, man. And I would urge you, just me, like, I'm like on IG, they call me Motivated Matt. Like, all my dudes know I'm amped up. I'm the one that, hey, let's get it done. Let's knock it out. I would say, man, just, me being around a whole lot of C-level execs, throughout my career, whether it be in sales or, even moving into this position. But a lot of the people that I know that started their company started doing what you're doing. That's why I applaud you, man. Go hard and keep with those networks and talking to people and helping people, because to be honest with you, you might already be in a position where you can go out and consult with other businesses. I know right now, you're helping people in terms of their transition and getting into tech, but those same skills that you learn every day at your job, are you perfecting? Are you teaching other people? Those are the same skills that's going to be needed for that small business. And it's nothing if you already got a network of people that have the skill set, not just cool. I don't say, hey, look, ride with me just because I know you. Like, you got to bring something to the table. But I'm pretty sure that you're already in a position where you could start your own business and start doing that consultancy. But yeah, man, when you do it, I'm gonna be following the coattail, bro. Do it big.
Yeah, man. I got some things I've been thinking about, as far as like industries that are kind of like untapped right now that people think aren't touchable. So I got some things that I've thought about. Just like some smallest, like I remember years ago, I went to a doctor's office and I was like, man, I bet like if somebody could literally just be in this regular Wi-Fi and do some damage in here, or they could just sit in here and put Wireshark on their thing and just watch the traffic and see what they get.
Man,
like I bet they wouldn't even get an alert that somebody using Wireshark on a public network.
I would agree with you, man. So when I was doing those videos, I wish I remembered the dude's podcast. I don't want to shout it out on your joint, but
no, go ahead. Because I just been listening. Shout out to Darknet Diaries. I listened to the whole episode of the LinkedIn hack in 2012 the other day, man. It was my first time listening to it.
Darknet Diaries is fire. You need to listen to Hackable, and I'm mad because they don't make any new episodes, but Hackable by McAfee is fire. My other guy, he works at Coldboard, my role model or my mentor. He has something called the Pentest Diaries. There's another one out that I forgot the name of it. Offensive Security Interviews is cool. But to talk about that medical thing, man, I was listening to podcasts and I found out that I used to have to sell equipment, essentially like IT services to any company I wanted to. So for a minute, I focused on healthcare. And a lot of them, they got HIPAA regulations they got to abide by, but those doctors and dentists, they're not worried about that. All they want to do is, get the patient in, get the patient out, obviously take care of them, but IT is far removed from anything that they have. And I seen situations or I read about it to where people was tapping into pacemakers and people's insulin pumps that's remote. It's hooked up to Wi-Fi. So what you're saying earlier, forget the Wireshark, you could do a whole lot more damage if you wanted to, and these people wouldn't know.
Oh yeah, that's facts. I've been telling people too, like one of my projects I did in grad school, we had to do something like on smart cities and the Internet of Things. And I was telling people that still get into IT or cyber because Internet of Things is going to open up a whole nother level of jobs for people, especially when they even just come to hospitals. They're going to have smart clothes, all type of smart things, all these things on the network. You're going to need somebody to monitor the network. You're going to need somebody to know about the devices. Like all these things are going to be connected and it's going to be, money to be made. It's going to be throwing money away just because it's like, we got to protect these things. So it's definitely a lot, man. Some of the things I've been thinking about is like, I've been thinking, like I had a friend, she works with Epic. So the electronic health record system. No, not the games, electronic health records.
Oh, okay.
That software. And I was like, how do they, I know they got that on the system, but what's it all on the computer? Like, how do they keep all that stuff safe? Like, I kind of like that stuff that people don't ever think about. It's like, oh, my stuff is there. And I know for a fact how much hospitals get targeted with ransomware and things like that. And that's why you've been seeing hospitals ramping up and their cybersecurity as well, paying big money because they are getting hit for big money. I got a homie, he does like IT technician stuff, and he works for this company. I think they do like blood, I guess like all the testing and stuff people do, like the doctors and things like that, they do that. And they got hit up, what was it, last year? And they got hit up, and I think they ended up paying a ransom. I was like, see, they don't want to spend the money. I think CrowdStrike was not throwing CrowdStrike in the bus because it's a lovely product, but I think whatever they purchased, the service, probably like whatever soccer service they published from CrowdStrike probably didn't publish like one of the higher tiers so where they get more dedicated time because they're a smaller company, so they don't really get that. Whereas what they should do is that should have scared them to just build their own team out, and where they just outsource like some of the stuff. Maybe they outsource like tier 2 and tier 3 somewhere. That's what they should do. If they had me around, that's what I'll tell them to do. But the game ain't free.
Man, 100%.
But let's see, man. So it's funny because normally I start off and ask people like where they from and stuff like that. But shoot, the conversation been so good. I honestly forgot to ask, man. So you born and raised in Texas?
Man, no, I'm from LA.
Okay. And you know what? I heard that a little bit in your voice. What part?
Ladera Heights.
Okay, cool deal. I ran into some people from LA, and I think I'm finna butcher this, but Gardenia and stuff like that.
Gardena, no, you on point.
Yeah, man. Shout out to them. They pretty cool. What's funny is like I'm from Shreveport, and and I've met like a lot of people from different cities that kind of remind me of Shreveport people, like Detroit people remind me of Shreveport people, Philly people. Like it's just weird, like when certain cities got a vibe where like, you know, it's like, they just like us, they a little different. But that's dope. So from there, from LA, you got into the military like after college, at the high school?
Man, actually, I was in my second year of college. So it was funny how that whole thing worked out, man. Like, once again, I was in sales. So I was in school. I was going to West LA College, and I was playing football, man. And during our spring training, we had some drills. I ended up breaking my nose. And I was like, you know what? I'm done with football. Let's make money. So I got a part-time gig at this clothing store, and it was right down the street from a MEPS. So if you're not familiar with a MEPS, it's a center where after you sign up for the military, you go there and they help you with your paperwork, and they, you know, give you your physicals and things like that. Well, one day, it was like during the holiday season. It was me and a few of my buddies. We was having this contest to see who could sell the most clothes, you know, during the December month. And this Navy guy came in there. I must have sold him like $1,200 worth of stuff, man. And I'm rapping with him, and he was talking about, you know, how he was sending the clothes to his son that was overseas, and all the cool things he saw and the things his son got to experience. And at that time, I was still in school, and I was like, man, you know, this would be cool if I could go and see some stuff like outside of LA, you know, outside of the immediate cities. It's not like I had been anywhere. So he was like, you know, once again, they'll pay for your school too. So I just started giving him some more thought, and I decided to talk to my auntie, and I was thinking about doing the reserves. And she said, look, man, we don't do half stepping over here. Ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. Go 100. So I had called the dude back and told him, hey, look, man, let's do it. My goal was, since I'm in LA, I was like, well, the Navy base is in San Diego. That's where I'm gonna get based at. And I'm gonna go to SDSU. So it almost went as planned. I had joined the military. I got out. I got based in San Diego. I had applied to SDSU, got accepted, did my registration, was about to set up for my classes. And literally the day my foot touched the soil in San Diego, they said, hey, guess what, bro? You going for 9 months. Welcome to deployment. So yeah, I was a sophomore in college, about to be a junior going to SDSU, and I got shipped off. Yeah, man, but the military was cool. So I've been out here ever since. I married my wife. She's from San Diego, and I figured, hey, man, this is only, you know, about 2 hours away from the house. You know, this would be a good little drive going back and forth.
Man, that's dope, man. I got some friends in the Marines, and Navy, Air Force. You know, ran into some pretty good people. And then 3 years ago, I was almost about to move to San Antonio. You're in San Antonio, right?
Nah, San Diego.
San Diego, okay. Oh no, why I thought you said San Antonio earlier. I think because you said, or maybe I'm getting San Marcos confused with another San in Texas.
You know what? That's probably what it is. I knew I should have left it out. That's why I was like, let me clarify. It's like 40 minutes outside of San Diego. But yeah, we in San Diego, man, right by the border.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what's up, man. I hate that they took them Chargers away from San Diego, man.
Man, I'm a Raiders fan. They should get rid of the Chargers. Don't nobody want them, man.
Well, not in the sense of who people are a fan of, but more so like for the city, like jobs and stuff it had for the city, for the people.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing that you bring that up. So especially when you say, hey, for the city and the people, for the vote to have that team stay here, all of San Diego couldn't vote on that. You know, like if you were in Oceanside or Riverside, it was still somewhat considered San Diego. You didn't have a voice, and they centralized it. So that minimized the vote. And that was also a reason that, you know, they didn't get enough votes to stay here. I think that the ownership would have got up and left the city regardless. But yeah, man, it's a lot of jobs that was impacted in terms of the San Diego economy that, you know, once you see that trickle down effect, it's something big, you know, like I think they're trying to figure out some kind of way to bring some kind of sports to the city. They were talking about, actually, we got a soccer team now, the Loyal, San Diego Loyal.
Okay.
So I think that could be the replacement. But yeah, you head on with that, like in terms of the jobs and the economy when they left.
Yeah, because I'm only on that because, like I said, I'm from Shreveport, and it used to be like more of a like manufacturing city, but like we had a huge GM plant that like was one of the bigger reasons why like people was moving to Shreveport because of working at GM and other different factories they could work at and make us have a solid living for your family, and things of that nature that they can't do anymore. So we turned into a street rack, man. But yeah, but that's dope, man. I'm trying to think and piggyback off of some other stuff you said, because you said so much, especially when we started getting on the certs. Like, you have an interesting stack, and one of the things I have, man, mentioning people, it's like they might want to get a Sec Plus and pair it with a AWS Cloud Practitioner, because that's since I took it recently too, I'm like, I like the exam, I like the material, very straightforward test, and it opens your eyes to like all this AWS stuff. Or I also say you can go to Azure route. We just have more AWS in our environment. Azure is starting to catch up a little bit. GCP, not as much, but it does pay the most because everyone doesn't know how to do GCP stuff.
Yeah, that's that rarity. Like, hey, if it's limited quality, you might get, a nice bag for knowing how to do it. Honestly, the only reason I went into AWS is because, my mentor, that's what he does. But I would definitely piggyback on what you said. Like, for me, pick a route. People pick a route. Like, and it just literally figure out what you want to do. And whether it's a CompTIA route, start at the bottom or start wherever you want. And one thing that I realized is a lot of these certifications, they piggyback off of each other. Like, when I went to the Sec Plus, I went as soon as I finished, probably I took 3 days off. I started studying for my Pen Test Plus. But more importantly than the studying for it, I scheduled the exam, knowing that, all right, now I gotta really do this.
Major key alert.
Major key, that dropped the bomb. Like, give yourself a legit target. Don't just say I'm gonna study for it, because then you're gonna keep kicking the can down the street. Like, even if you plan on, or something happens and you can't take that test when you originally scheduled it, you're going to work harder to get there, because that might be a possibility. You can always move it a few days if you need to. But what I did was I set that date, and that information from Sec Plus was clear. I understood everything. So it made really the Pen Test Plus was that much easier. And if I had the choice, honestly, I would have went right into the CYSA after that, because I'm studying for that on the side too. Like, that information is it's like learning how to do your subtraction, then you do addition, then they literally build on top of each other. So when you said, even with the Cloud Practitioner, the Cloud Practitioner is a cool exam for anybody that's interested in, that you think you might want to know anything about cloud. First, if you get the certification, people that don't know about cloud, or they don't know about IT stuff, they're going to think that you're amazing. But all it's really doing is telling you what the services are, what these tools are, and making sure that you understand not even how to use them, but what's the high level of what they do. It's like a spelling exam. Hey, look, I'm gonna tell you about this. I'm gonna tell you about this cup. A cup, it holds liquids in it, or you can put whatever you want in, but that's what a cup do. That's essentially what the Cloud Practitioner does if it's talking to you about CloudFront, an S3 bucket, things like that. And then once again, I told you, it builds. So when I went into my solutions architect, all they did was tell you, all right, look, now you got your foundation. You know what these tools are. Now I'm gonna show you how they play together. Now we're gonna put our blocks together. And once again, just build your path. And you don't have to do nothing crazy. Go and figure out, hey, look, I'm gonna go to CompTIA route. I'm gonna go to the AWS. I'm gonna go to Azure, whatever you are. They got the paths for you. Really, just set your dates and go for it.
Man, that's facts, man. Because a lot of times, and shout out to, listen, a lot of people, it's because it's still a newer exam than Sec Plus, but mark my words, in probably 5 years, like, everybody, you're going to start seeing CYSA more on job descriptions, because like Sec Plus is pretty much the Cloud Practitioner security certs, because it's a high level, but Pen Test Plus, CAS, CYSA, are actually showing you like what you do in a certain position. Like, if you, like, I tell people now, if you want to be, I don't really recommend people take CYSA unless they have experience, because CompTIA made that test hard, bro. Me and one of my friends, who he used to actually work for Booz, and then I forgot who he works for now. I have to check my LinkedIn. He took it before me. He's like, man, that test was hard. And I knew if he said it, I knew the test was hard because, so we already had experience. And I took it and I started sweating in there just because of the way that CompTIA likes to do their questions. But I was like, that's one of those tests. I mean, you want to, like you said earlier, I love when you said that you feel like you overstudied for Sec Plus, but you really wanted to understand the material. And I shout out to a lot of people on my Twitter. They're taking their time studying for it because they want to understand it. And I've been telling people as well, is like, look, when you don't have a lot of experience and you don't know what you do, start writing down those sections of things that you go through that is teaching you in Sec Plus, because then you can go back and research them some more. And you can add things like that to your resume for technical skills, because they'll populate somewhere on a job description because they'll ask you about it. I was like, that's a way to attack it when you're doing the search. It's like, just go more in depth on some of the things they brought up, because that's going to help you. It's going to show intrigue, curiosity, proactive, and not that you just did it and said somebody said you're going to get a 6-figure job and boom. Because that's kind of like one of the things going on with people in certain areas. And you got the crafty resume writers. Some people may say I'm hating, but hey, look, I don't care, man. Listen, I'm black. I'm for everybody getting free money. I just don't want it to come at the expense of hiring somebody on my team that don't know what they're doing and then get me fired.
Right.
And that's really all it is. Like that's the whole thing, or they mess around and hit us with a solar wrench trying to blame it on the intern. I was like, man.
Man, let me drop this jewel real quick before I forget this. So look, like if y'all ain't understand by now, I'm a professional nerd. Like I study. I study. So what I would suggest to everybody is figure out how you learn. You learn the best. What I figured out is I'm a visual learner, but I reinforce everything that I learned through a video by reading it. So like, man, you don't need to go to college for all this stuff. I'm gonna be straight up. You probably don't. Like, get you some Udemy courses. It's a whole lot of people that shoot videos and have full courses that's good. I will watch videos, watch the videos, and then read the actual study guides to these preparation exams or these certifications. And then I would follow that up with, typically they would have quizzes at the end of each chapter to reinforce your learning. If you did get the book, it came with a companion for online study. So do those practice exams. My man said, when you take these, especially CompTIA, they trick you up with the questions. If you're familiar with how the questions are set up, then you've been watching videos and you've been reading the book, it's going to be that much easier for you. I don't want to go too hard right now, but how you said, your boy said that the CYSA was a hard exam and he had experience and that kind of shook you. Well, the same person that told me to get my Pen Test Plus said he's a professional pen tester. He said he had been pen testing for 5 years and that exam was still hard for him. And I said, it's not hard for me, it's hard for you. I say that with everything, whether you working out, if you train with me, this is motivated man speaking right now. If somebody say it's hard, that's hard for them, bro. It's hard for them. Like that means you need to go harder, be harder than the test. Like when I was a kid, I played football. They said, look, if you go head up with somebody and you slow down, the force that they bring is going to be bigger than yours and you're going to be hurt. It's the same thing when it comes to getting these certifications or learning and anything else that you're doing. Just prepare yourself going into battle. Make sure that you know the information. It's going to be that much cooler, especially if, like he said, if you're studying for a certification or you reading a book, put that stuff on your resume, because that'll bring up some keywords, but it'll also highlight you. One of the things that I did on one of the versions of my resume is I had worked myself through a Hack the Box challenge, and I listed everything that I did on that box as if I was doing an actual pen test to let people know that, yeah, I'm not just going to list these tools. I'm going to tell you what I did with them and what I accomplished. And that speaks volumes to people that don't have the experience, because at least you put down, hey, I'm working on something and I know this stuff. Like, I'm not just telling you, and I can show you, because if you do have like a try hack me or you got to hack the box, you can show them the badge. Matter of fact, post the badge to your LinkedIn after you finish so everybody else can see it.
There you go. And yeah, man, definitely that's great. That's great advice for telling them that, it's hard for you, not for me. I say it to people off of more so people that may not be as dedicated, that might think they can wing it. just because maybe they did get Sec Plus, and I would just tell me like it's just harder in general. Not like I think it's more like you said, but more so for me like questions, and I think also for me, I think I put in either LinkedIn. I think it was about LinkedIn. It could be a super experienced test or a small test like cloud practitioner. Like I get test anxiety too when I'm answering stuff. And so it's one of those things, like, especially not knowing, even though you know what you're getting right, like I'll go back. How I know if I'm doing good, I'll go a second round. And after I answered everything, if I don't have to change much, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing good. If I have to change a lot, then I was like, I might not have passed it. and one more thing I like to add to people, I advise people to get a CYSA over CEH because if for the DoD standards and all that, they're on the same level. CYSA is plus, and it's much more beneficial. CEH, everybody who's in the industry knows that it's pretty much kind of like the laughing stock. Far as a hacking certification, they should probably change the name to something security for EC Council if they want to do it like that, but it shouldn't be really a hacking cert because it's not hard at all. I know when I was studying for it back in the day, it was mostly built off like Nmap scans, like literally Nmap, probably like the whole book Nmap.
You serious?
Back then. Now it might have changed. I got the old book like in that video. I got it right there. Yeah. It talked about some of the attacks, but it wasn't the material wasn't hard. What happened to me is that, they changed the versions. Everybody took a new version, and for whatever reason, none of the questions kind of were similar, and it just messed everybody over. But it wasn't a hard test. It just seemed like what I studied for wasn't on there.
Yeah, well, to echo what you're saying, man, especially when like I told you, I came in here knowing, hey, like I want to be a red teamer eventually. Even at this point, I'm still, actually, man, I'm kind of excited. I got some pen tests that they scheduled me to, run the projects for. So I'm kind of excited. But before I got to this point, when I heard certified ethical hacker, just as an outsider, I thought that was big news. And when I started talking to people in the industry, they let me know, man, it's really not that important. The only reason that I ever had somebody recommend me go after it was if I wanted to do something specifically in like DOD or the government. But what I would suggest is, and this is another certification I'm about, probably 3/4 of the way done, is EJPT. And that's practical. Like that's some real hacker stuff. Like it's cool. And they have cloud, they got, a lot of different networking and other certifications. But if that was a route that somebody did want to do and they wanted hands-on experience, the exam is actually practical. And everything that you need to pass the exam, they teach you. So
so you got not to cut you off, you got the INE pass too?
Yes. All right. So look, this is gonna be amazing.
Because before you go on, like while you're studying for the EJPT, I've been studying for the ECIR with there. So, I mean, like you said, very thorough. Let me go through all the different tools like, Security Onion Stack and all that. And, it's virtual. I like where I don't have to set nothing up. I mean, it's fun. Yeah. I'll do it when I get some more space and time, but that's definitely dope. But I'll let you continue with what you're about to say about it.
Oh, well, no, this is just, this is a dime. And if anybody from INE is listening, well, y'all shouldn't have hooked me up. So look, I had somebody, one of my mentors said, hey, look, sign up for this. This is the next cert I want you to get the EJPT and we're going to rock out through the rest of them. Eventually you get your OSCP, but this is where I want you to start at. So I had signed up with them when they were still eLearn Security. And I think I paid $500 for the certification, for the vouchers, and then for the training. They switched over to INE, and they kept sending me these like coupon codes in my email, and I never really gave too much attention to it because they had changed the platform to where you can just purchase one exam, and now you have to do like the whole yearly subscription. Well, look, I'm gonna give y'all some game. I called them and talked to them directly on the phone and said, hey, well, I noticed y'all changed your pricing model, and I did get some coupon codes sent to my email, but I missed out on them. Is there any way that you could, find some way to give me another one? So I think the year pass for the Cyber Path is the most expensive one. I think it's almost $1,500, if not more than that. I got the whole thing for $100 for the whole year. Talk to them people. If y'all serious about this, talk to them people. I paid $99. I would have gave a dude a tip just on the strength. Like, talk to these people. If y'all about this, man, I'm telling you, everything is about talking. This is the sales answer when I'm talking to you. Talk to them people and get your money, get the discounts, and get the experience. Like he said, he's working through his certification. It's invaluable. Even if you just do it for fun, it's invaluable.
Hey, that's facts, because my story on them is when I first found out about them, because I did some inquiries on LinkedIn about, incident response certs, and I got some good feedback. Look, eLearn actually has commented on myself on Twitter and on LinkedIn, when I mentioned them about stuff, and they sent me a whole review of the test, which made me want to take it. So the first thing I looked at, I was like, 15, I ain't trying to pay the 15. They let me do a month for 100. Then eLearn said, hey, you know what? We talked to everybody, and you know what? We're giving everybody everything. You can get it for $750 for the whole year. So the price was half off, on top of, if you get the subscription, you get a half off voucher. So I was like, it's a win-win for me. Now, the next thing I'm working on is, I've been reaching out to them, but I'm probably gonna do it on LinkedIn since they reached out more. So I want to be an affiliate. I want to be an affiliate of them, CompTIA, AWS, anybody, where they can come on my site and either use a code or something like that, and because that's a untapped market that everybody that's really not on there. Was like, these companies like eLearn is still fairly young, so they don't have the biggest presence on social media. So doing something like that also brings eyes to them, because I've been my last Instagram, I did like a resume tip reel, and it's probably like at 13,000 views now. And I was like, crazy. I don't even have that many followers on my business Instagram, like 700 some followers. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is, I put in, just like you said, on the flip side of what you've been doing on InfoSec, when I started this, I started doing a whole bunch of studying for like marketing. How does Instagram work? How do I get my followers up? How do I had already had a previous another YouTube channel before I started this one, with my dedicated to my boxing stuff. So I knew how YouTube worked, and then I got in my bag even more, figuring out how I get SEO working and all that. How do I use Premiere Pro? What type of mics? Like, so it pretty much tells you anything you want to do. If you put the time into it, it's going to yield you good results. It might not yield, the results in the time frame you're looking for, but it will. Like, some people hit 1,000 subscribers before me. I wasn't tripping off it because, what's that Rick Ross quote? He said he stopped worrying about numbers when he realized the container with the most weight moved the slowest.
So look, I dig that. So I'm a trainer too, man. I train people, I like 2 years ago, I did a cut. So I dropped like 40 pounds. I was telling people, hey, look, man, don't think I'm just some softy. Hey, I do this. And then I run a lot. So I tell people, especially like when you're running or you hiking or just in life in general, man, it's like a carrier. Since I'm in the Navy, I relate stuff to the military. So a carrier, it take a long time to get moving. Like, it might take you a couple miles just to get up to the speed you need to, but to actually take off, it's going to take off. It's going to take you longer, but it's harder to slow down. That's the whole grind about working towards something. Like, don't do something to get the immediate results. Like, take your time, and you're going to get to wherever you need to be at. And it's going to be, you're going to enjoy it a whole lot more than having something come to you and it leave. You're not knowing how to keep it.
X, man. Look, man, we can go on that goes in hands in hand. Like, because what some of the videos I plan to do about tech is like about money, because this is the one field where job to job you can just start making way more money than you did in your previous position. And but as most Black people, we didn't come from any money, and a lot of times you just don't do the right thing with it, just because you're not used to it. And so those are videos, like you said, when you brought up ready for it. Some people are trying to land a big job, but they're not good with money. They're not going to land that job. They'd be broke if they got all that money.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I plan to talk about. What we haven't talked about is kind of can you give us like your title? And typically, I know you just started, but like more so a day-to-day, and kind of like,
okay,
what type of path that that specific position probably could go into to start doing more things that you want to do, like with Red Team and stuff like that.
All right, so the official title is CyberSecurity Analyst, and the day-to-day, Just man, we literally just started this week. Sidebar, man. So we have in the morning just a huddle between everybody, and obviously it's virtually at this time. But they started talking about sales on my very first meeting, and I kind of got my heart racing, like, oh man, what I got to do now? And I realized I'm the tech guy. I ain't got to do nothing. So I just love that feeling. But it's been a lot of just ticket handling. To be honest with you, right now it's me learning the tools. Because once again, just because I got these certs and even I got a lot of hands-on experience, it's not specifically in this area. You know, it's like somebody that it's like an athlete that's really good at basketball. You can't tell him to go and hop on a football field and he just gonna start doing the same, you know, greatness he displayed on the other field or court. So
Nate
what I've been
Robinson.
doing, this dude became a meme. He should never done that. But yeah, so typically what I do is I'll log on in the morning, log in all of my tools. And right now I've been actually watching a lot of the training videos. So the company I work for is a smaller company that got acquired by a larger one. So like our actual IT or cyber, our SOC, we literally just got fully staffed when I came on board. And the person that's been there the longest, she's only been on the staff for like a year and a half. So what she did was she created these training videos to get us up to speed, because when she was there, or even up to the last couple of months, it was pretty much sit down or I'm gonna have to, you know, you're gonna have to look at my screen and see what I'm doing. So I've been looking at the tickets, following along with her videos. And then what she does is she'll have me actually hop in, and just every day I'm learning something different. So today, I actually had to remote into a server, and then some tickets came up. I had to hop and launch a VM, get inside a SQL and Security Onion and mess around with that, which was all new to me, but it was cool. That was fun. And outside of that, it's just making sure that I know how to navigate through everything. More importantly, like moving forward, it's a lot of growth because, like I said, the company is small, and since I have a floating schedule, it's not, at least for this first 3 weeks, I don't have to be dedicated to just one thing. So I'm gonna be linking up with the guy that's actually like the main pen tester in I think 2 days or on a weekend. And he's gonna give me some of the background on the things that he's doing and getting me caught up to speed, which I'm pretty sure we'll speak the same language. But like I said, it's like 4 or 5 pen tests we got coming up this year. And I'm gonna be well-rounded, not only for those pen tests, but like physical stuff. So I gotta go and drop off a server next week, and I gotta install it and take the other one out and swap it out. And I'm gonna be on the phone with my guy, you know, so he could do the codes and remotely and in the GUI. So it's just so many different things that build on it. And to be honest, that's one of the reasons I wanted to get into this field. It's not the same every day, and it's so much growth for me to be able to do any and everything. So I'm gonna use this to learn the tools and get the experience. And one of the coolest things that I like about the company is, at least up to this point, is they really invest in the training of the personnel, you know, outside of everything they already got going on. One of the guy that hired me said, look, I know that you like pen testing because I always talk about it. He said, if for some reason, he's like, these are the tools that we use. But if for some reason you find a tool that benefits you or that you just like, let me know and we're going to get it for you. You know, so that's letting me know like they got my back. And he's putting me in a position with this floating schedule to maximize my learning and to see all the different areas that I can touch on while I am inside of not only this company, but really to see where I want to push it in terms of leadership and, you know, just moving forward into the future. So that's what the day's been looking like right now, brother.
That's dope, bro. That's dope, man. Especially if the combination of like where we were, like how you told us about the journey. And you know, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm in 2-3 years, I'm gonna be seeing. Shoot, it might not be 2 years, it might be next year. You might be posting has been promoted to, you know, cybersecurity, you know, lead or something like that, bro. You know, just based on your background and you know how you talk and how you think, you know, you'd be a leader because. One of my selling points I did, like I was recently, low key, I went and checked your LinkedIn just now because I was like, man, I want to see you working at the company that I just interviewed for, but it's not, it's a different company. But one of the things that I've been selling myself on, like with these lead positions I've been interviewing for, is like, I gave him an example, like we had the bad snowstorm out here.
Recently. That was like last month, right?
Like 3 weeks ago now, 3-4 weeks ago now. And I always tell people, because they want to know like what's your leadership style. I said, well, I'm a doer type of leader. I'm gonna do it first so everybody gonna follow. I ain't gonna just say you do it just because I'm tier 2, I'm tier 3. And I was telling about how, my guys had brownouts, and I was like, you know what? Well, don't worry about it. I'll just do the night shift. So I had one of these, I was already working days. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get off a little early so I could do nights. So I did nights 2 days, but that little bit of stuff, just telling them that right there was like, okay, I know all I need to know, because a lot of people are not trying to do that. They're not going to inconvenience themselves. They're just going to try to inconvenience everybody else. But it's like, you got, there's just some people that's born leaders that, they exude that, and they're meant to do that. And I think, since you're already in military, you already know that you're going to run into the people that's good at work, and you're going to run into people that's just there to where you ain't going to be able to change how they do, but at the same time, them people are going to be jealous of when you move up. Cause it happened to me, people was, some people was jealous, but I'm like, no, I came in from day one, putting in work. Like,
yeah,
people, like we cool with, yeah, but they'll tell you, like, my man, I was saying about, I used to work at Booz. I think he works for City now. He told me that. And then my guy that used to work with me at McAfee, when I got him on, he told me that, and honestly, the good thing about this position that I had at this company was this was the only time I got to start at the same position as somebody else did. Like in life, we normally start behind, playing catch up. But as just let you know, if we get a fair shot, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
It's a wrap, because I like a lot of them dudes, some of them approached the job like 2 days ago. I'm like, man, I gotta eat, bro. Like, I can't depend on nobody but myself. So if you don't think I'm gonna come in here and work hard, like, normally people on night shift really don't get off night shift. Like, after that stint of doing night shift, it was like, nah, bring him on days. Like, I did so good to where, like, within the first year, they wanted me to come to the quarterly for our client in Burbank. You know what I'm saying? I was the only one that was an analyst that went to Burbank.
What's some of the things, I know you interviewing me, well, we chopping it, but so I know you spoke about this on some of your other videos, but what's some of the things that you did to make you stand out to, in your role, to where you was able to?
Okay, let me see. I was trying to make sure you still can hear me, because you kind of had a little lag right there. But from day one, I came in pretty much with something to prove. This dude, I'll probably send this channel on YouTube. His name Antoine Matthews, and he was talking about he used to be in the tech industry, and he was talking about how a company he really wanted to work for in Detroit passed on him, and he had the skills, and he was like, once he got with another company, he made everybody that passed on him regret it. That was me, man. All them companies that passed on me, that want to give me no shot. Texas Instruments took me on like 4 or 5 interviews, talking about I had the job, just tell me no. I was like, nah, man, watch this. Come in, we take over for another MSSP, and I just came in. I noticed, like, I pretty much established my value. I brought value, so I pretty much noticed like things that are messed up. So at night shift, I'm catching stuff that days probably didn't care about, and I'm emailing the leaders on the client side. Hey, I noticed this. I noticed this. I don't think this. We should do this. I'm very vocal, and that's one thing that set apart some of those guys. They will not open their mouth. They'll email you, or they just won't say nothing at all. Being good at what I was doing, improving, having the will to improve. I would always get by, and this is a tip for anybody that's still, if you're listening right now, at this point, find the smartest person, or the person that knows their job the best, or who like 2 or 3 levels above you, and get with them. Bring value to them. Don't just try to take from them, but do your research and then ask some questions. Soak up as much as you can. And that helped me too, because I used to I got buddy with our principal threat analyst. He was also doing content and stuff like that, to where, he was saying, hey, yeah, you guys can reach out to him for this. Or, it really started becoming apparent when my manager started making me the point for stuff. Like, hey, yeah, reach out to him if you need it. And the clients start doing the same thing. And that's when it kind of like dawned on me. I had like the engineers like, yeah, dude, they're talking about promoting you. And this wasn't, I wasn't there that long when they was talking about that. And even because the corporate is a little different, but they couldn't really do my promotion, stuff like that. So we do like cost of living raise every year. So they gave me like the highest they could, and transitioned me to like level 1 lead. Like my director at the time, when he still was with us, he was trying to steal me on different projects. I probably could still find him. He was like, hey, do you want to go work in, it was some town in California. Do you want to go work there for a couple of months? Like, so it was literally just doing that. And the funny thing is, before I started this role, I was kind of nervous. Like, man, how am I do? You know, am I going to do okay? Because what happened was they hired all of us and we took over for, like I said, we took over for DXC. I don't know if you ever heard of DXC. And the client had us pretty much doing like playbooks and doing processes like what we do for certain alerts and crap like that. But the sucky part was it just didn't have a lot of information for us, like their environment and things like that. So that was the like scary part. But they was like, no, we killed it because we went way more in detail than, you know, the people they had. Like they playbooks were garbage, man, for real. And it's funny now that you making me remember this stuff. This is similar to I had a group interview today. It was, I ain't gonna lie, it was a beast. It was more IR stuff that they asked me. I think I did. To be honest, like I tell you, I think I did decent on it. Could I did better? Yeah, but and that's one of the reasons. Like, you know, I've been buttering up for recruiters. I'm like, yeah, you know, I love the company, woo, but I want to see some new industries. But really, in layman terms, is like I'm kind of getting to the point where my stuff's getting real mundane, and I need a new challenge to get my skills sharp. It's kind of like that fighter. You know, we like action movies or something like that where they kind of get civilized. Like, you know, you started off a beast and then slowly but surely it's like, you know, man, on some Black Panther stuff, like Killmonger come in and beat you up because you kind of lacking, but you get your head knocked off and you get your mind right. So it's one of those things like, you know, I just need to get sharper, and it's not the company, it's more so like the restrictions of the client that got us a little bit kind of dull. And so it's one of those things. That's why I've been pushing. That's why I'm doing the ECIR. That's why in my free time, I have like a sale doc where I've been working on use cases, looking at stuff like, I wonder, do we have? I haven't seen a rule for past the hash or the golden ticket. You know, let me see if, you know, we have those in our environment, and let me go do my own research to see what type of Windows events we would see from those in the process. So I just been doing other research. It's been helping me out. Every time if I stagger on something in an interview, you know, I go research it because, like, you know, I'm weak right there. Let me go read some more on that. So that's what it's all been doing. And I also tell people, hey, if you like your job, cool, but interview every couple of months. It'll let you know what new stuff is on the market, and it'll help you stay sharp. So stay interviewing even if you don't plan to leave. Now, that's something I should have been doing. I would talk to recruiters from time to time, but I wasn't as active as I am now. But, you know, a little jewel right here is the crazy thing is, like I talked about earlier about the manager I interviewed with yesterday. Man, like you said with our conversation super cool. I mean, me and her just, you know, it didn't even have to get technical because I didn't know this until the end of the thing, but pretty much she knew she didn't really have to grill me too much from the company I'm at now, because we did so good. And then she was like, well, next up she'll talk to the director. She said her name. I was like, hey, she used to work at my company. And she was like, yep. and so two hours later after that, they literally sent me an email like saying like, hey, you know, what times are good for you on Wednesday or Thursday, you know, to talk to her. And I'm already knowing. I was like, 9 times out of 10, she's not going to ask me much because she knows my manager, and I know she's heard my name before. So it's like, that's when I think earlier when I was talking about like this world is small, you just never know who's going to be at the next company you're at. That's why you always got to go hard wherever you at, man. Because sometimes, you know, a lot of times when you get to a certain point with these roles and experience and you just start making friends, you really ain't got to interview. Maybe like, hey, you want a job? I know you can do it. You've been doing this for 5 years. I know you can do it. We're going to hire you. And you're pretty much now where you can name the salary too. That's another thing where I just redirected her. It's like, nah, this is what the market's hitting for right here. They got back with me fast. So it's a lot of stuff there, you know, when you starting out, you don't have some of the leverage. And I tell the guys, you know, just stay patient. The money gonna come. You gotta like be like a little boxer. You gotta learn the fundamentals first. Like you can't just go into the flashy combos. You gotta know how to throw the jab. You know, it's gonna be your fundamental punch. You gotta know how to use the jab up and down and block or clinch on or throw the right hand. Like if you can at least got a decent 1-2, you probably can still win some decent fights without throwing the other punches. But if you don't have that, you know, then you're not going to be successful on down the lines. Because we see in many sports, everybody is talented, but then it becomes the little things that set the great players apart from the big player. I mean, from the good players.
They gonna end up like Riley on the Boondocks. Like he can dribble like Iverson, but he can't do a layup. He ain't got no kind of jumper, no fundamentals.
Right.
Like, man, you hit on so many dope things. I think it's dope. Like, I don't know if you realized it, but everything went round circle. So in the military, we got this thing. My man used to tell me, embrace the dirt bag. What that means is it's always going to be somebody that's going to do the bare minimum to get by. And that means all you got to do is be you. Do your regular job. Do what you're supposed to do, and you're going to outshine them. But you also spoke on something else, saying you had a reason to grind and to excel at what you do outside of getting noticed. Yours seemed like it was, hey, I got to prove these other people that didn't want me what they missed out on. Like, you always got to have a why. Like, my why is to grind. I got kids, I got X, Y, and Z, but I got things that I want to do. So that's pushing me. And then you also do the things that other people ain't willing to do. To be honest with you, those are the things that's going to set you apart. Those are also the things that you're going to have more knowledge of. Like earlier, we were talking about the Azure, we were talking about the AWS, and you brought up another one that might actually be a little bit more valuable just because it's not that many people that know how to do it. But what if that was an opportunity for you to learn it at your job and you said, nah, because I want to kick it. And all you had to do was learn that skill. And now you just unlocked a whole new, like a video game. You open up a whole other part of the map. You didn't even know about it. Then what you came on and said was, hey, well, this community is small. We all know each other, to some extent, with whether it's I know you directly or, somebody I used to work with or X, Y, and Z. Once people see you put in that work, there's not a lot of extra stuff you're doing. You're just doing stuff because you're interested in it. And that's why I want to go back to these certifications. Don't get them just to get them. Do this or do whatever you're doing because you love it, because you really want to put those hours in. Because when you build all that skill set that you got, it's going to be easy when you get to my man Henry's level, when you're saying, hey, well, really, we ain't got to get technical. Let's just vibe, because you know that I put the work in. Your reputation supersedes you at that point. And that's why you are where you at right now, bro. That's so dope. Like your host, that little bar you gave me, I got all that out of it. That's dope.
Man, I appreciate that. And what you just said at the end about not being technical that's why some people in the beginning, they get grilled on in their interviews because they're trying to do too much on their resume. You're coming in, some people could know you're an introvert. Like that one time, that time I made the video about our should you lie on your resume? And I made that's really when my Twitter took off. When I made a tweet like, stop lying to get in the InfoSec. And I had people tell me, stop hating. And I was like, nah, I didn't lie to get here. I did it the honest way. But one of the things that, had me perturbed was that the chick I talked to her and she had some stuff on the resume. She couldn't tell me what it was. She couldn't even tell me what a SIM was. So I'm like, why do you have this on here and you don't know what anything it is? And she had it to where that whoever did her resume had she had 7 years of experience.
Wow.
But it's like, yeah, I'm not having any. Yeah, I know why you're not having any. Look, you don't know what you're doing. You on here trying to cheat the grind.
Yeah, and that's funny, man. We doing representation right now, so I'm gonna keep it this simple: real recognize real. Like you can see through it if you didn't live through it. So yeah, man, don't lie. Once again, don't lie. That's just garbage. You not only wait, and I listened to your whole joint when you were talking about that, because say you do get that position and now you mess up, a critical system, or you make the company look bad because they put this trust into you, or even worse, like we said, people know who you are, like your name will get around. Now you bad money. You can't even get into this situation that you were hoping or working so hard to. Yeah, man. I did have another question for you. Actually, I guess it's like a two-part. So one, so this gonna happen. This can relate to somebody that's in the industry and somebody that's not, but they might want to get into it. So how do you find a mentor? And then second, how do you provide value to that mentor? Because I got my answers, but I'm curious to see, what your outtake is on this.
Man, that's dope. So I would do it like this. It's funny. Early on, I technically they weren't really mentors. They gave me some guide points, but they weren't mentors. I look at my contemporaries of who I see are doing big things. Like shout out to my homie I was telling you I worked with, Tavion. Shout out to him. I actually listed him as like, one of my role models. He's younger than me, but the stuff he's doing with tech and outside of tech is just amazing. I need to share his video with you, how he got into like cybersecurity. I'm like, yeah, he did what he's supposed to do. Pretty much grinded the whole way. So that's kind of how I do it now. I think eventually I will meet somebody that, that's above me, that I could actually, be a mentor and bring value to. But if I was going to go on that bring value question, I'll bring up a shout out to Dayspring, aka Day Cyberboss on YouTube. Y'all go check him out. He's like a mentee of mine / a client, but he doesn't take from me. Day, if you check his channel out, he had his internship, and I remember talking to him while he has internships. Like, hey, bro, shoot, you know your stuff. You should try to get a full-time position and then finish like school while you're doing full-time. And he was like, really? I was like, yeah, go for it. Worst thing they could say is no. And he ended up getting that full-time SOC position, like offered that position a couple of months ago. He actually just released the video on it because he had been sitting on it for a while. He didn't tell the world because he was waiting until after his internship was up. But he's always, he did his trifecta certs, and then he's studying for his I think CCNA and Penn Test. But he's always studying. He's got videos on like home labs he's did. So when he comes to me, it's not just to bother me. He's did some stuff and he wanted a question about it, or even if it's something as small as me and him will talk about. Like, prime example, when he got his offer, I wanted him to negotiate, because what happens when you get your first offer, if it's more than whatever you made, you're kind of scared to negotiate. But I was telling him, it's like, bro, you're going to bring a lot of value to the team. And if they're not at least offering you what's average for their position in the area, they're trying to play you just because you pretty much only have your associates. And I was like, don't feel bad. I was like, I started comparing it to like dudes in, NCAA where they stay. I was like, look, Cam Newton had one phenomenal year at Auburn, and got racks, the next year, off of a 1 year performance at the highest level. I was like, so don't feel down, don't be scared to ask what you're worth. I'm not gonna tell you to play yourself. I was like, you can always try to negotiate, or you can negotiate some more time, or something else. You can negotiate another extra off day or some crap like that. But you have a little bit of leverage. But just getting him that information, I know when he ever does his next position, he's probably, going, really get that bread just because of, of stuff like that. So if we were to piggyback on how to bring guidances, it's kind of like what I said when I had worked with the threat analysts at work. Is like, I have a saying, it's like, people will help you when you're trying to help yourself.
Bars, you just said it. That's preach, go, bro, go. You running.
That's pretty much it, man. Because a lot of times, like that's what me and him actually was talking about the other day. People, sometimes people like, oh, I don't charge for my consultations. I was like, it's like, I charge one because I can't get my time back. I'm super busy. And two, I know you're not going to BS me if you got to pay for something. And he was talking about, yeah, man, I'm about to start charging because people just be BSing me in my line, asking me about all this stuff just because they see what I'm doing, but they're not understanding the work I'm doing to get here. I was like, I feel you. I was like, and the people that pay for your consultation, they are, you know what I'm saying? They're going to get that money worth. Yeah. That's what I always say. I was like, if you can't even, because I help people with stuff, that technically I could be charging them for, but for me, I didn't really start this just to, I want to make a lot of money, because initially I had my resume rates super low. I mean, I raised them up now, but they're not as high as I've seen. I was like, I did this more so I could help people and give them a unique perspective on how to get into this industry. That's why I think that blog article, I got to check how many views it did, but it did pretty good because a lot of people have pretty much been kind of lost on like how to get into the industry.
Man, and that's the main reason I wanted to talk to you, because I didn't realize how many people was following me on LinkedIn. And when I would post my certifications or just random posts, I would get people liking it. And, I did my SEO thing. So I kind of got some good responses at one point. But when I actually got in, I thought that it was just going to be people saying congrats, or, people reaching out to me for advice that weren't in the tech field, probably more so veterans, or, people that was in my position, hey, I'm in school, I'm about to graduate. I had people that, been developers, or they've been on a networking side for X amount of years saying, man, Antoine, how'd you do that? So yeah, what you bring to the table is definitely important. And I think that it's really important that, you do put some kind of monetary value on your time, whether it's for a consultation or whatever it is, because first, that in itself is a valuable skill, but you got to think about all the time and effort that you put in just to gain that knowledge, to be able to share it with the next person.
Man, and like me and shout out to Justice Divine. Like her and I were talking about, it's like, people want it free, but it's like, shoot, we pay money into school for this too, man.
Yeah.
Like we paid a lot of money. You mean you can't pay, a haircut, to get some advice, or, some new clothes, or a dinner date, to get an investment that could potentially make you a lot of money. That's really how you got to think about when you make certain purchases. Like, what am I going to get out of this? And that's pretty much, how I look at stuff. And I'm actually been happy, I've had people, it's not like I'm the biggest, fish in the pond, but I've worked with some people who've also worked with people that have some of these platforms on LinkedIn that are bigger than me. That was like, bro, you really just really put me in there, saying I worked with so-and-so, but bro, you really just, did your thing. And, I appreciate that, because, real recognize real. Like when you speak to me and I talk to you, I'm frank. Like when I do resumes to people, I'm frank with them. I was like, oh, well, I'm not gonna do that. I say, show me. We're gonna put only stuff how and what you did and what courses you put. I'm not gonna buffer it, because my integrity. I'm about to say, oh, he be boosting up people's resumes. I'm gonna dress up exactly what you have, and it's gonna work for you. Because I have a client. It's the resume that's on my page. Man, her, shout out to her. It's funny. I don't know if she just made a resume just to send to me, but her objective at one point said, because I need a job or whatever. But I fixed that up, and and she's got. I think she told me she got a part-time cybersecurity position, and I was like, that's
big,
right? Because if you look at what I did to her resume, it wasn't nothing like super fancy. I just put the courses she took at LA Tech, and kind of some of the skills she used that work, now. And I just dressed up her job descriptions with like accomplishments she did within the job. And I made her a clear-cut objective on, what she wants to do with her career. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I've seen some where people like have made resumes super wordy, and I'm like, that's cool, but it's really not saying nothing. And you come off as, if I'm a dude, like, oh, okay, this dude must be a super smarty, or he paid somebody $800 to do this, that just do resumes, but they're not in the field. Because let's be direct.
Peep this. So first, don't run my ear. I don't want to. If you gotta tell me, if you can't tell me what you need to tell me in 1 minute, and you talking for 30 damn minutes, I don't need to listen to you. For that, that's what I'm super frank, and I'm straight to the point. If you can't tell me exactly what it is, that means you don't know what it is. You know what I mean? So I dig that, and that's one of the things that helped me with my resume. It was super chunky when I got it back from the Hire Heroes. I just sliced it down to like, just put the hitters on there. When you talking, put the hitters on there, and then my man Henry, he'll hook y'all up. Talk to Henry, he know what it is. I did have another question, since I know that you do got people that you mentoring, and then you also, I'm pretty sure you got wild success stories from people that, like you said, hey, I just need a job, to, hey, look, now they got something that they could deliver to an employer, and actually earn a position. Do you have any kind of conversations with the people that you work with in terms of like how we on this platform right now? I think that might be, some awesome, not only to big yourself up, but so that other people like get them influenced to like, hey, I can do this.
Yeah, definitely. That's in the works. Most of everybody that meets with me, I send them a link to, I have a Slack space. Anybody, if you're still on here now, if you want access to the Slack space, reach out to me. It's free for right now because not a lot of users, so I've just been trying to get it populated. Well, we don't talk as much in the Slack space, but the Slack space is there. I have my work phone, and I text everyone like periodically, see how they're doing, just to see what type of offers they got, and what's going on with them since they talked to me. I've been hearing some good things, some things that it for me, it's like, I think we're coming to an age now where like a lot of the gatekeeping and infosec it's coming down because people are realizing like, I know what they're doing. It is really more of the job security thing, protecting job security, trying to make it like it's so hard to get in when you could just some people who probably don't know a lot will come in and just kill it just off of intrigue and curiosity alone, probably be one of the best workers you'd ever find. But some person probably wouldn't hire them because they didn't have the paper credentials. But you could teach technical skills, soft skills is really the hardest skills to teach for people. That's the hardest thing. I'm more, what is something that I think somebody said the other day? Like I'm more people over process,
So man, peep this. The hiring manager, and his name is AJ. I don't like keep saying hiring manager. My man AJ told me, look, I had been trying to get out of sales. I told you for a minute now. He said that's the thing that I wanted to hire you for. Like, yeah, I see that you got the technical skills, but that's a dime a dozen. He said, man, I interview with some people that's super techie, and that's all they do is tech, but they don't know how to effectively communicate, not only within the team, but to the client. So by you having that ability to speak to people and like you said earlier, in a layman, and communicate what you're doing, that's why I want you here. So everything you just said, yeah, you on point.
Definitely, bro, man. Well, like my phone is ringing off the hook, man. This conversation probably could go to like 10 o'clock if we both just stayed on here talking.
Yeah, battery charged up. Mine about to die too.
Yeah, man. Hey, but no, I enjoyed this, man. This is actually, hey guys, for you guys that don't know, I didn't prepare any questions for this. We freestyle everything, and I think it's gonna come out good. I think everybody's gonna like this. But if you do want to shout out like social media tags, you can shout them out right now. I also make sure I put them in the description as well.
All right. So on LinkedIn, just search Antoine Matthews. I think it's like AR Matthews after the LinkedIn or the backslash. And then on IG, I'm going to be frank, y'all not going to see nothing IT on there. That's me getting after it, hiking and fighting and everything like that. But that's at Motivated Matt on IG. And yeah, man, hopefully I'm going to be like my man Henry one day and have me a YouTube channel. This is the beginning, I guess. But yeah, holler at your boy, man. If y'all need advice, man, get at me, because this has been a good adventure, and you see where I'm at. I ended up on the big stage. I'm talking to my man Henry right now. This is cool.
Man, dope. I appreciate that. Everybody, y'all know how to find me. TechTual Chatter YouTube, TechTual Consulting on Instagram, TechTual, what's it? TechTual Chatter. Oh, yeah. TechTual Chatter on Twitter, LinkedIn, my first and last. Man, you name it. All the links are always in the description. You know what to do. Click. And yeah, listen to the podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Help me out.